there's a lot going on right now in edge virtualization. I know you guys are right. RAD is right in the heart of that space. What are the trends you're seeing, and how are you seeing the whole deployment play out?
So first of all, Carol, as you know, we've been there from day one, or even -1.
I was going to say from day zero, I think.
Yeah, so -1 back in 2013, we already showed the first POC of edge virtualization, part of the ETSI PoC number 4. Things are moving very fast in the last 12 months. So we've seen operators like AT&T rolling out edge virtualization-based services. We see smaller operators moving from RFI to RFP, RFQ phases already. We are getting a new RFP every other week in the last 6 months.
Wow.
So definitely this year has been a turning point. We see virtualized services both in IPVPN or layer 3 domain, but also in layer 2. Some operators are considering to use their layer 2 Care Ethernet services as an infrastructure to offer more, to offer value-added services on top of that. And actually, the PoC that we are doing here in the event is exactly about that.
Okay.
So we can talk about that later on.
Okay.
We'll have a very interesting announcement to make in a couple of weeks' time with one of our Tier 1 operators in Europe that is using our layer 2 devices to host additional functions, to host a router function for his enterprise customers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So,
on a sort of a cloud-based model, or?
No, actually, the router will be hosted at the edge on the demarcation device.
Okay.
But will continue to be managed by the enterprise customer.
Is this part of a managed service? Okay.
It's more like a hosted service.
Okay.
So typically a service provider can offer either a layer 3 managed service or a layer 2 managed service. Here they're doing kind of a hybrid. They're approaching their large enterprise customers who are not interested in a managed layer 3 service because they have their own IT department and infrastructure, and they want to control the router. So this operator actually is offering hosting services for this type of customers, getting more revenues from these layer 2 customers, while the customer can still maintain his control over his router. Only that now he doesn't have to bother about a router appliance, all the hardware-related complexities. But from the technician point of view, it looks exactly the same CLI, the same look and feel, only the router is virtualized. So this is definitely happening. In layer 3, we have seen in the last year that SD-WAN is capturing a lot of attention. I would say it's like it's perceived like the killer app for vCPE, right?
Right.
And I've been thinking about what could be the reason. Why is it catching up such an attention? Why it became such a hype? And one of the nice things about SD-WAN is that it provides kind of a complete package. Functions, SD-WAN, some of them also provide firewall, unified threat management, additional functions are in the roadmap. They provide also the controller side and analytics. So it's a nice package that service providers can deploy today. Because very few service providers are like AT&T that can take components and build a solution out of them.
Right.
Most service providers are not there today. And SD-WAN is very appealing for them. But many operators in the last 6 months are starting to gravitate towards using SD-WAN as a VNF because they realize that SD-WAN is a little bit a closed garden. So this kind of turnkey approach.
So moving away from the appliance-based early deployments.
So moving from an appliance-based approach that is good for first rollout, being fast to market, to a more open, generic UCP approach, where you would have an operating system that can host multiple VNFs, best of breed VNF. One of them can be SD-WAN.
And you would also probably have virtual firewalls in there, maybe WAN optimization.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
And having best of breed components is actually one of the reasons why NFV came to life, right?
Right.
Giving the operator the freedom of choice, avoid vendor lock-in. So there is, there are waves. And I believe that we are now turning back to a situation where operators would look for solutions which are more open and can be tailored based on best-of-breed components.
You have talked in the past about some of the operator challenges, though, when you go to this broader approach of what happens when you try to put white boxes in at the edge of the network. I think we all thought in the beginning this is going to be the natural solution, get a white box and add to it whatever you want to. But that hasn't quite played out. I think there's some cost issues involved in that, but it hasn't quite played out the way people thought. What is RAD doing in this area to help sort of bring the edge to life in a way that is cost-effective and efficient?
Yeah. So definitely white boxes today provide a lot of benefits. They allow service provider to standardize to fewer variants in the networks. You know, if you talk to some operators, large operators in Europe, they will say that they have a CPE portfolio of hundreds of variants.
Right.
This is very tough to manage for them from operational point of view. So white boxes can help in that. Actually, UCP, so AT&T, for example, refers to the U in UCP as universal. Right. Having a single CPE that is universal and can service different functions depending on the software that you put on it. The challenge with white boxes is that they were not really designed for carrier environment.
Okay.
So these are basically servers coming from the data center, from the cloud, into the WAN or into the access part of the network. They were never really designed for this. So they lack different capabilities. For example, typically they would lack the physical interfaces that are required to really be able to be deployed in every customer scenario.
Okay. Like at the demarcation point for the customers. Right. Okay.
So, for example, one of the service providers here yesterday in a keynote speaker said that a large majority, 20–30% of his addressable market does not have fiber in their locations.
Oh, and that's probably pretty typical.
Right. So, and this is in the States. So imagine what happens in less developed countries.
Yeah.
So this is one aspect. Another aspect is that these white boxes do not have the operational capabilities, OAM, for instance, service assurance, performance monitoring, troubleshooting capabilities. They lack all of these.
Okay.
This is one of the areas, these two aspects are areas that RAD can help with. RAD have developed along the years pluggable PNFs, or pluggable physical network functions, either in the form of an SFP or a small module that can be plugged into a white box to add to the white box capabilities that the white box does not have. For example, a DSL connection. For example, a TDM interface. Amazingly enough, a large majority, tens of percentage of the locations of the addressable markets of large operators, they don't have fiber there.
Okay.
They need a TDM interface. They need a T1. In some cases, multiple T1s.
Okay.
So we had a customer who came to us and said, I'm going to need a multi-link PPP, MLPPP connection to reach these sites. And what RAD did for them, we developed a VNF that can manage several RAD pluggables as a single logical entity, allowing it to provide services to his customers.
Interesting.
So this is one aspect of the value that we can bring. The other aspect is related to operations, diagnostics, and troubleshoot. Our operating system, that by the way can run either on RAD servers or on any third-party server, includes the ability to monitor the health of the VNFs that are installed on the operating system.
Okay.
The OS monitors the entire chain and also monitors specific points in the chained VNF, so that if there is a degradation in the performance of that particular chain, we can identify which VNF is causing that, and we can automate the process of, for example, respinning the VNF, restarting the VNF to maintain the user experience.
Okay.
In that way, we take a white box, which is not really carrier class. We add to it interfaces and abilities to make it carrier class and worthy for service assured services. Okay.
And are you finding, you mentioned earlier you're getting a lot of RFPs, are you finding a lot of folks that's the direction they're going into at the edge, is that kind of box where you have, you know, it's not a purpose-built telecom box, but it's a combination of white box with the carrier class things added to it? Is that the direction most people are going?
Yeah, I think the direction is definitely white boxes in general, I would say, because they do address a large percentage of the cases. In most cases, you do have fiber, or you can use LTE or something like that. But those operators who have started rollout then realize that what they have doesn't cover all the use cases or the scenarios. So they're looking for extra stuff. Once they deploy, they started to see, okay, how do I maintain, how do I measure myself, how do I make sure that I can guarantee the user experience that my customers were used to? Because, you know, from the customer point of view, the fact that you're virtualizing the router, it doesn't bring a lot of value to him. Right. So he expects to have more or less the same SLA, same user experience as he had before. And you as an operator have to have the infrastructure to allow you to actually measure yourself and guarantee the user experience of the customer. Yeah,
be able to prove the SLA,
So Ilan, RAD has a very interesting MEF proof of concept, or PoC. Tell me about that.
So first of all, before we talk about this year's PoC, just a general comment, we are really excited to be able to participate in the MEF PoCs. They bring together multiple operators, multiple equipment vendors, sometimes competitors, together to build something that is fresh, that is based on MEF standards, emerging APIs. It's quite exciting. Last year we won an award for our PoC, and we really hope that this year we'll do even better than that. What we are demonstrating here is actually driven by a Swedish-Finnish service provider, by Telia. What they wanted to show is an international service that includes a layer 2 MEF underlay and an SD-WAN overlay across countries. So they have partnered with a Norwegian service provider called Quantel that is offering wholesale service. And in that way, Telia is able to offer an international service beyond its own footprint. In the PoC, we partner also with One Access that provides layer 2 demarcation. Our own equipment provides layer 2 demarcation plus NFVI and NFV hosting capabilities. We host two types of VNFs. We host SD-WAN from Nuage and a firewall from Fortinet chained together. And we're able to show, first of all, an orchestrated solution managed by Cisco, TLF, NSO through Presto APIs from the MEF. This is, for us, it's the first time that we actually do a kind of a multi-vendor implementation of this API. So quite exciting about that. We are showing layer 2 e-access and also e-transit ready service, including service activation, performance monitoring, etc., end-to-end, and also per segment. And we demonstrate an SD-WAN service both across fiber and across LTE in different deployment scenarios.